Hello, Tyrus here. Last episode, we did a first couple flights, gathered some science, and I pointed out a few more locations at each building where there's science available. So right now, we really just need to get some science and unlock a few nodes. I really want to try to go for this node down here, as it provides me with a few extra items like batteries and a larger antenna, which would be fun to use. But also, I want to be able to get these struts. These help you build bigger chips, and these launching stabilizers, launch stability enhancer, squad calls them. I just call them launch struts. These will be used to help us hold up taller rockets. Okay, and this is part of KSC, which we will get into, KAS, which we will get into later. But I want to get these guys unlocked primarily, and then I'll start working my way up and starting to attempt to go to orbit. All right, so for contracts right now, we only have two, Escape Atmosphere and Orbit Kerbin. But before we do that, we are going to get a bunch of science and then go for these goals. We're going to go to the space plane hangar to build our little rover that we're going to use to cart Jebediah or Valentina around the KSC. You can see here I already started building it. I just wanted to point out a few things about it. This new engine, the Juno engine, is different than the liquid fuel engines you'll see me use soon. It only requires liquid fuel and air intake. So it requires that you have another part, usually some sort of air intake that'll provide intake air, and that mixes with the liquid fuel to create thrust when ignited. So here we have the Juno engine. We have a fuel tank here that has just liquid fuel in it. There's no oxidizer. And we have our standard capsule. The cool part about the spaceplane hangar, for those of you that have never played, is you can switch between two types of symmetry modes. You have a radial symmetry mode and a mirror symmetry mode. By default, the spaceplane hangar goes to a mirror symmetry mode, which allows you to put things on your spacecraft so that they are opposite each other. I only have two on there, but I can put them on any way I want, as opposed to the radial mode, which only puts it on the opposite side. It only snaps things to a shape, a polygon. So when I move up, it goes around with it rather than coming closer to it on the top. And I can change it to have all these different shapes. But radial mode can only be two, and this makes it so you can build a symmetric airplane without having to guesstimate on where things are going. Okay, so I've got that. Let's put on some wheels. We unlock that with that first node. Got a couple new wheels here. Let me just play with the settings a little bit to try to flip them around. All right, so we got some there. Let's bring up the center of mass. Don't want this thing to tip. All right, I got some wheels right there. I'm actually going to move, oops, I'm going to move them a little bit lower, and then, oops, I gotta have, there we go. Move them a little bit lower, and then I'm going to use my rotate tool. If I can click on this. There we go. Use my rotate tool here to rotate these up straight. Now this is a little bit of guesstimating, but I have a couple tricks that allow me to make finite movements that I shared with you in either the first or the second episode. Okay, so that's about flat. Perfect. Let me take the center of mass off here. And then the key for this is to try to get it so you have your wheel in a location that will keep the body of your craft level. So first let's get it onto the center there. So right now this is tilted forward a little bit, so we're going to try to rotate it. Pretty much straight up and down there. And now, just looking across, it looks fairly level. All right. And by level, I mean the bottom of these tires is pretty much on plane with the bottom of this tire. Okay, so we're pretty much ready to go. First, we've got to add in our science. So we have this, I can take this out and drive it around right now with a pilot. So let's call it a SciCart 1 and saver. All right. So SciCart 1 is, it's just going to be a generic thing we use to go gather science. What I'm going to do to show you the subassembly feature in the game is I'm going to build a science pack subassembly. Yes, I know it's a little strange, but you'll get what I mean here in a little bit. So I'm going to put this right on the top. Put this right on the top so it's nice and balanced. And just for good looks, I'm just going to sink this down in. Let's clip it in. It's just make the vehicle look a little better. Then we are going to add in an antenna because we are going to, well, actually, we don't need the antenna. We'll use the trick that we used last time. We will need to add in our science. Okay, so we know we don't need multiple thermometers. We only need one thermometer, which is helpful. I'm going to put that facing our cockpit, so when our Kerbal comes out, he can just look over at the temperature and then reset it. Same thing with the barometer. Perfect. Okay, now it depends on how many biomes we are trying to get to and how many parts we can use. We can put in enough mystery goos for about 10 biomes right now, which is pretty darn good. But we have a fairly limited amount of space on our science pack. So we have room for 20 parts. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put radial on here, flipper to the side. I am just going to repeat these down as many times as I can. So I believe there's the administration building, the spaceplane hangar, the mission control, VAB, the tracking station, and the R&D building. So there's 6 biomes there, not to mention some mystery goo and other science that we can get at the KSC. So right here we have enough for 5 biomes. We'll need to put, I can take off the single, we need to put 2 more on for the 6th biome, and then 2 more on for the KSC biome. All right. And then now it's time to do just a couple little tweaks to it. Just to give it sort of that good symmetrical feel. Right now I'm just trying to make sure that everything is lined up properly. So everything is balanced. It'll make it much easier later, especially when we're trying to make sharp turns in this rover. If anything's unbalanced, it'll want to tip over. Okay, so we have enough mystery goo for 7 biomes, which is about how many biomes we are going to need. And we are going to have to drive very carefully in this thing because I have a feeling it's very top heavy. Yeah, it's pretty tippy. I have 22 parts on there right now. I'm actually going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to get these wheels out wider to compensate for just how tippy it is now. So I'm going to put these guys out. Once again, I'm going to clip this in on itself just a little bit so it looks a little bit more natural. Grab this wheel. wheel. All right. It looks kind of funny not having anything there for it to connect to. Do I have anything here? I could actually use this tiny little engine, this tiny little fuel tank. There we go. I like that. All right. Whoops. So I got these guys on, and all these are going to be used for to extend those wheels out a little farther, increasing the stability of the rover. So it will be less tippy this way. Okay, so let's go get some wheels. Put the wheels right on the end, right here in the center. Got to rotate it through. Perfect. It should be sitting perfectly level. Yep. All right. This rover's looking good. I have about 6 parts to spare if I wanted to play around with anything else. I think I have enough life support to last a few hours. Yeah, 18 hours. Although electricity, there's only 2 hours. Well, we'll see. There should be enough electricity to get us through this mission. But if not, I will do a couple of missions trying to break it up and make it a little quicker so we don't run out of electricity as fast. But I have a feeling we'll make it. Okay. So, nothing else I want to add on here. I am going to first to show you the subassembly. If I open this up, I think I showed you where the subassembly was in the VAB build interface episode. I think it was 2 part 1. The subassembly is this green one right here. This is the example subassembly I made. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this science pack and I'm going to click it and drop it right there. I'm just going to say SciPack 1. That's what I'll call it. SciPack 1. Sounds good. So now that's saved there, already built. So now I can get rid of that, resave this as SciCart 1 because I made that little change there with the by extending the legs out. Now I can take this SciPack, click it right there, get rid of the double symmetry, and there it is. I can place it, use the arrows again to sink her down in and give it a little bit of a better feel. Now this ship is ready to go. All right, so without saving, of course, because I want to save the SciCart one, the blank one, not the one with the SciPack, I'm going to launch this. And we will collect some science and test out how well it drives. Okay, so first I'm going to start putting the brakes on so that we don't ruin anything here. All right, Jebediah Kerman's ready to test out this little rover. Looks good. Looks like we've got turning control. That's good. Also, this engine will vector for us, meaning it'll point left and right so that we can, it'll assist in our turning. All right, SAS on, ready to go, just for now. And then I'm going to engage the engine, start throttling it up a little bit, take the brakes off, and you're going to see we're going to start moving forward. Perfect. I mean, the engine is barely up. While we're moving slow, I'm going to get a turn going here. Turn's pretty stable. Now, for those of you that don't know, there's a fairly steep incline off of the runway here, so it's good to try to hit that incline head on rather than from the side or at an angle, because if you hit it at an angle, you give yourself a fairly good chance of tipping over. All right, looks like we are doing well. I am going to cut the engine and bring our brakes, or apply our brakes to come to a stop. There we go. I'm going to toggle the brakes on. All right, first, I'm going to do these back ones first. The KSC, observe mystery goo, observe the mystery goo. Takes a couple seconds, loads up, perfect. Now we've already done an EVA report here, so it doesn't really matter, but we have not logged the pressure or the temperature. Perfect. I must not have got it with the barometer. Nope. All right. So now what we'll do is we'll EVA. I'm going to look over here, and I am just going to take data, take data. Then I am going to get back in. It puts the data in. Now I can use that thermometer again. Crew report. Ah, that's right. I forgot to do that first. The little trick to be able to do a crew report without using an antenna. All right, now we've got that one done. SAS back on, brakes are off, and let's increase our throttle. And now we are going to head straight over to the administration building, this tiny little building right here. I'm going to see if I can time warp a little bit without... Oh. All right, note to self. Don't time warp with this rover. Okay, well, that was kind of a fail, but it did what I had to do. I tested the driving around. I was able to collect a little bit of science. We're going to recover this or build a new one in our next episode and then go around and collect all the science that we need. All right, thank you for watching this episode. Sorry for the the mild failure there, but that's part of playing Kerbal Space Program. Thanks for watching, and till next episode.